mandatory reminder that Ghost of Yōtei is doing absolutely amazingly, you evil chuds. The same way that we have these bi-weekly reminders that Xbox Game Pass is very much also doing perfectly fine and there's no problems. Oh, what's that, a price hike? Oh, yes. In any case, you probably have already heard or seen what's currently happening. The WoW crowd is absolutely desperate to push Ghost of Yōtei as a success. We have already talked about it, that the idea that this is successful is a lie, but, well, they have to keep on lying and they have to keep on selling this point, even though it's false. Like, there's no statistics that shows that Ghost of Yōtei is good. And, boys, listen, okay? As a data analyst who was really successful at what he did and you know, valued and shit, and even in the government and whatnot, let me tell you a secret. And this works for data analysis, this works for business analysis, this works for all of this, okay? If you ever are in a situation where you need to analyze sales, and someone is saying, well, if we factor in this, then it is successful, that means it's not successful. The moment anyone is trying to tell you the sales are successful because if we factor in this thing or whatnot, that means the sales overall are not good. They're not successful. And this is always going to be true. There is no situation where the sales are ever actually truly good. If you need to say, oh, because this was different, this is actually good. No, it's a lie. And this is, first of all, everything that these people are doing. And this is pretty massive. And the funny reason, of course, is why these people are doing it. And, well, the reason why these people are doing it, because, unironically, Ghost of Yōtei has been, without question, the most successful WoW franchise that we have ever gotten. Okay? It is by far the most successful one. Now, that doesn't mean it's actually successful. It at least sees the finish line. And the finish line is never reachable at this point because it will never be successful. But yeah, currently one of the biggest copes that is happening is Ghost of Yōtei sold 3.3 million copies in one month. Suck on that, haters. And then people are saying, yeah, but Tsushima sold like 2-point-something million copies in the first 3 days. Which is, by the way, I just want to remind everyone that we had the same conversation, not even a month ago, like half a month ago, where I already said then that it was bad because Ghost of Yōtei is underselling horribly because it required like 4 times more time to sell slightly less copies than Tsushima, which is not success, okay? I don't care how you look at it, that is not success. People are now also doing the cope that, oh, actually, PlayStation 5 has only 84 million copies sold. Units sold, I mean, in this case. And PlayStation 4 had 120 million units sold. So that's also needs to be... No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It flat out doesn't. That's not how these things work. Okay? If you thought that, hey, if you think that Ghost of Yōtei could have also made better sales on PlayStation 4, then you should have made it on 4. Not just BS about the fact that PlayStation 5 has less units sold than that. It's absolute bullshit. I tweeted all these shills saying Ghost of Yōtei was a success. I have never seen a successful massive game that no one talks about 2 days after launch, and even when someone did, it only was look at the bamboo cutting minigame. Yes, because this was the whole conversation. From the moment that Ghost of Yōtei dropped, the only thing that people said about it was, oh, look at the bamboo minigame, it's amazing. And, oh, look at this field with literally nothing in it, where there's no gameplay, but it looks pretty. I mean, yeah, the field did look pretty, but, you know, that doesn't make a good game. The bamboo cutting minigame is not even 5% of the game, and even if this is the best minigame in the history of ever, that does not make the game good. It does not. Then we have blatant flat out lying, which is the most funniest thing, honestly, ever. And here we have it. Because these people are desperate. Ghost of Yōtei has officially sold 3.3 million copies within its first month. Boycott officially failed. No one actually did a boycott. Everyone just says no one's buying it. These things don't really have boycotts per se usually. It's just people look at it and say, "Oh, it's Vogue slop. I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not stupid." Grums lied about their fake numbers, which is hilarious. So this is how deceptive and manipulatively lying these people are. He's saying, oh, 3.3 million copies sold. All of these people were lying. And then there's people agreeing with this. Well, some people are not agreeing, which is hilarious. Only 23% of people who bought Ghost of Tsushima bought Yōtei. It's a success, guys. So, and the response to this is, so when GTA 6 comes out and it does 20, maybe 30 million copies sold, you're gonna say the same because that's like 10% of the people who bought the game. Dude, if I haven't thought about how much GTA 6 is gonna sell copies in the first couple of days, but I mean, I'm just gonna ball it. This is not me actually thinking this is, but I don't think this is gonna be me. I think GTA 6, when it releases, is gonna break this every store that sells it for the first like couple of days. I think GTA 6 is gonna be selling easily 100 million copies in the first week. I think it's gonna be that big. Maybe even 200, 300 million copies by the first month. I don't know. It's gonna be massive. GTA 6 is gonna be as massive as anything has ever been. You were wrong about Sony not releasing the numbers. Cinia was wrong about sales being flat. You are still wrong thinking Sony releases numbers to Cinia when it's... So, I don't know what this... I have actually looked at it, and Cinia is some kind of third-party site that does statistics and stuff for games sold. And people are claiming that they have Sony's actual numbers, even though Sony doesn't release these numbers. Sony doesn't say that they release these numbers, and this company doesn't even claim to get those numbers from Sony, but because Circana, that's how you pronounce it, because Circana says it has, people are just assuming that? I don't know. I don't know. I would not trust Circana. I think I already once talked about this. I'm not trusting those numbers. Ghost of Yōtei is now PlayStation 4 fastest selling first party original IP. Debuted with more than 2.4 million units sold throughout globally in its first 3 days of sale. Congratulations, Sucker Punch Studios, blah blah blah. And then you have Ghost of Yōtei has sold 3.3 million units in a month, which is wild. Again, this is not underselling by half. This is underselling by, at this point, considering a month has passed, this is underselling by roughly 90%. Because the sales are just gone. Again, we had multiple conversations about this like a week or 2 weeks after Ghost of Yōtei launched, and these numbers are not moving up a lot. We have this chart. I have absolutely no idea where it came from, but I have some questions. And some of you are probably looking at this and thinking, wait, is this right? As an analyst, I can actually tell you that yes, this chart actually does track. There's typically prediction charts are usually done in 2 ways. For example, if we're looking at World of Warcraft player numbers and we're predicting decline, we just look at what is the change between every month, every expansion, and we just kind of do the average there, and then we predict it in that direction by doing an average. Very simple stuff, actually. Here, we actually don't have enough, we do not have absolutely enough stuff well, sales data to actually predict anything, because we can't use that method. But in this situation, we can use the previous stuff and predict it, because we have literally no reason to assume that it's going to act differently. AKA, if you follow this channel, you probably saw me talk about this when it came to Avowed and the Outer Worlds 2. How the Outer Worlds 2 was pretty much an exact one-to-one replica, almost. It wasn't exactly a one-to-one replica. There were like 2 things that were unique, but it was almost a one-for-one replica of what happened to Avowed and then what proceeded to happen with the Outer Worlds 2. Considering it's the same game, the same company, the same everything, we have absolutely no reason to believe currently that Ghost of Yōtei is not going to have this same prediction. And considering this is literally 3 days, 2-point-something million copies sold, and, well, Yōtei needed one... Yōtei needed 1,000 more % time to sell 50% more copies. That means that the decline that Ghost of Yōtei is gonna suffer is gonna be massive. Now, granted, I do not fully trust this chart, because there are a couple of nicher things wrong with it that I would like to see actual justification and, you know, numbers behind it, behind some of these choices, because they're doing a little bit of a privileged thing here. They're assuming, they're currently doing a lot of assumptions here, okay? With the way that this is displayed and, you know, the decline here. Because if you're just looking at this initial data, the decline should not be that high. The decline should exist, but it should be, you know, more akin to this in a copy state, or even higher here, and then it should start to decline really fast. That's how typically these graphs should be working. Oh, that's my tweet. And I tried to find some actual data on, you know, I tried to find some data on, you know, Ghost of Tsushima sales, and I did find Statistica. And let me just rant for, you know, 1 minute about how absolutely how massively I fucking detest Statistica and how ass it actually is as a website, okay? First of all, this is the first 3 days. Notice that this is lifetime units sold in the thousands. What does it in the thousands mean? Well, first of all, notice that they are using a dot here instead of a comma, which means that this is, considering it's thousands, that means that you need to add 3 zeros at the end. So this is so this dot just complicates things so fucking much and makes this whole thing nonsensical. So this should be 212 2.12 million. 2.12 million copies sold because of the dot. It makes it awkward. Then this is the first 3 days. Then this is the first month, okay? And the first month digital sales are somehow smaller because, again, if you add 3 zeros, because this is units per 1,000 sold, this is less than in the first fucking day. Again, this is why I hate Statistica. This website is... I hate it so much. Everything they've done is so superficially dumb, in my opinion. And even furthermore, by the way, look at their payment plan, okay? 149 buckaroonies per month, billing annually, and here's the explanation, okay? They even added a fine print because this is how bad Statistica is. All prices do not include sales tax. The account requires an annual contract and will renew after 1 year. So there's a chance that when you buy this, you are locking yourself in for a whole fucking month. Well, not month, but year of paying them, even if you decline, because this is probably how the contract works. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. In any case, I hate Statistica. That was kind of the point of that. Hey, renovation's happening. What can I do? In any case, a Ghost of Yōtei is garbage. Everyone knows it. People are really actively trying to prove that it's not, even though they have absolutely no proof. The fact that this has only 3.3 million sales over a month is really bad. Again, they're probably gonna fight over this because, simply put, it is the most successful WoW game probably in the history of the world. Before that, it was Dragon Age Railguard. It's still gonna crash and burn, obviously. The fact that they have announced that they are not gonna be making any expansions for this kind of fucking proves it. So, there you kind of have it. Anyway, 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Bye.